Hey guys, Ruminating Reaper here. So I've just got done watching The Lost Bus. This is on Apple TV Plus. The film's directed by Paul Greengrass, director of the Bourne movies. The film's also a Blumhouse production, obviously Jason Blum is involved. It's also notably produced by Jamie Lee Curtis. Now obviously the real life story that inspired this, certainly very interesting and ripe for dramatization. But what I think piqued a lot of people's interests is that this marks Matthew McConaughey's first big film role in several years. So obviously a lot of us were really excited to see him back on screen as a leading man. But is this real-life dramatization a worthy vehicle to mark McConaughey's return? Let's find out. So the film follows Kevin McKay, a man who works as a bus driver in the Northern California town of Paradise, trying to juggle his dead-end job with caring for his elderly mother and attempting to mend the difficult relationship he has with his teenage son. One day, a devastating wildfire breaks out across Northern California, and an evacuation order is promptly issued. But Kevin soon gets a second chance at life when he learns of a classroom of kids that are unable to get to the evac zone. And so he takes his bus and races through the fires to get the kids and their teacher, Mary Ludwig, to safety. Obviously, with his experience having directed films like Captain Phillips and United 93, real-life dramatizations are very much Greengrass's bread and butter. And so, obviously with him lending his hand to this, this is him very much back on familiar turf. And so with him, being such a reliable hand and bringing these sort of real-life stories to the screen, it should come as no surprise to learn that the film is very good. So I think I gotta admit, my one big issue right out of the gate is that the film, running at like 2 hours, 10 minutes is a bit long in the tooth. And you really feel it in the first act. Particularly with the family stuff, which feel kind of tacked on for the sake of extra drama. But once the film shifts focus to the fires, it really kicks into gear, and from there it becomes a really gripping tale of survival. And obviously with that core of, a race against time to get the kids to safety, we have a real solid emotional hook that really keeps us invested in it. And yeah, the film does a fantastic job of building tension and peril throughout, constantly creating a sense of danger. It is, fantastic stuff. Really gripping, edge of your seat spectacle. And of course, the chaos is really brought to life by Greengrass's filmmaking. Some really, clever stylistic choices to really enhance the tension. Obviously, his trademark shaky cams are here, very much enhancing the chaos of the situation. But there's also some really elegant drone shots, weaving their way through the fires. It is just, absolutely fantastic. And, there's some really immersive sound design and a score from James Newton Howard to really enhance the tense atmosphere of this bus setting. It's really well done. And obviously, yes, there's a lot of digital effects for the fires as well, and there are a couple points where the CGI does stick out a bit, but for the most part I think it does work really well. And so it very much enhances and immerses us in this, this dangerous, high stakes scenario. But of course, what really carries this thing along is a fantastic central performance from Matthew McConaughey as Kevin. He really sells this guy, who's desperate to do the right thing and make up for a lifetime of mistakes as he selflessly races through this dangerous landscape to get these kids to safety. He is fantastic. He's obviously very charismatic, as you'd expect from McConaughey, but you really buy into his more tragic, core as well. He's great. Of course, we also have a trademark McConaughey crying scene as well. All actors have their trademarks. Tom Cruise runs, Brad Pitt eats food, Jake Gyllenhaal smashes mirrors, and Matthew McConaughey cries. And yeah, it's great, as you'd expect. America Ferrera is also great as Mary, the kid's teacher. You very much, she's great. Constantly, reassuring the kids. She very much sells that, that real figure of responsibility. Very much trying to keep the kids safe, and also help out Kevin. Get to the evac zone. But she very much has her own reasons for going along, as she's trying to get to her son. And there's plenty of great scenes of Kevin and Mary bonding over their own sort of experiences and mistakes as parents. It's the two of them are fantastic. There's also great performances from Matthew McConaughey's son Levi as Kevin's son Sean. And there's also a great performance from Matthew McConaughey's mother, Kay, as Kevin's mother. So obviously, yes, very much keeping it in the family, and I think it very much does lend a certain level of believability to the family drama element. Again, even if it is tacked on for extra drama, that very much real, genuine chemistry at least keeps things believable, and you very much buy into Kevin's reason for doing what he does. And obviously, throughout the film, as the stakes and the tension escalates, very much throwing us into the chaos with things like looters and people desperately trying to go back into the fires to salvage what they can, and increasing scale and devastation throughout. It very much keeps you on edge and very much keeps things moving fast, and with plenty of stakes and tension throughout. And it builds right along to a very hard-hitting emotional climax in which Kevin attempts to reunite with his family. Obviously, any earlier issues with the family drama, it really takes center stage, and because of what we've been through, it allows it to really hit hard. And what's probably even more shocking and devastating than anything that happened in the film is, again, the fact that this shit happened for real. Like it is absolutely insane and really does leave it on quite a sobering note. Overall, The Lost Boss is a very gripping dramatization of a devastating real-life incident, featuring powerhouse filmmaking from Paul Greengrass and a fantastic central performance from Matthew McConaughey to really bring the high-stakes, tense scenario to life. Out of 10, The Lost Boss gets an 8. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you seen The Lost Boss? What did you think of it? What did you make of its dramatization of this real-life event, if you knew about it going in? What's your favourite real-life dramatization that Greengrass has made? And are you looking forward to, what the future of Matthew McConaughey's return to acting has in store? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.